Hello, everybody. Thanks for letting us be a part of your day today. We have a couple things to chat about today. Also, if you didn't know, you're tuning into the Oops, I'm an ID podcast with Sandra and Shannon. This is Sandra.
And I'm Shannon.
I mean, it was 50-50. Okay, you guys, if you didn't guess it before, now you know. So today, I'm going to start off a little bit different. I wanted to see how your day was going, how your week was going. Anything fun going on over there, Shannon?
Week is going good. Day is good. Prepping for a family vacation. Take a little time away from work, which we all have to remember to do. It's very important to have a good work-life balance. So
I support that. Also, I want to come with you
mhm.
because while you're gone, those emails.
Because they're reaching out to you, girl, while I'm gone. So
I stay ready, so I don't have to get ready. That's good. I'm glad you had a good week.
how about you?
It's been okay. Okay, so I'm pretty sure some people can relate to this. But I've been in a creative like a plate. I'm stuck.
Mm-hmm.
So something that shouldn't take me very long to do is taking me a long time to do. It's a 3-minute video for a course, and I have to animate it. They already gave me the content. I, made it into a script. I did the voiceovers this time around. Again, we chatted about it a little bit last episode where we're using AI, and I'm like, this is great. It reduces my amount of work. But then here comes a design piece, and I was stuck. And I was doing everything else except for this one video. Finally, I got a little traction on it. And I don't know about you guys, it takes me a long time to animate because besides the designing piece of it, trying to think it through, especially when it's dry content.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a good idea to always have like 2 hours, or not 2 hours, more like 2 days built in to just the design phase, because I get stuck in that as well. And I'm on Google Images just searching for inspiration. So I feel you.
Yes, and that's where I was at. I got a lot of it done and during the week, so I'm happy about that. But it was still a struggle, and I'm in a good place right now. I'm still gonna meet my deadline, thankfully, because it's the worst thing when you go back to your client and say, "Listen, I'm gonna need another day."
I
Um,
spent 2 days staring at the computer, not sure what to put down.
I'm not,
And I was really trying, but
but
being creative on demand is, I think, one of the toughest parts of this job.
it's exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
It is, but once you get it, you got it.
Yes.
And here's the thing too, is like when you work for a company, you have to stick to their brand. Actually, when you're freelancing and doing things for other companies,
Mm-hmm.
you have to stick to their brand. But depending, there's some space or room for creativity. When you're doing things your own way, you have a lot of unlimited time to dedicate to how you want your things to look. But also, that's also a bad cycle because maybe I can do it this way. Maybe I need to change my color palette. I
Right.
need to change my font size, my font weight, it's like a never ending cycle.
And then you get to,
Yeah.
yep. And then you get to a slide and you do something a little different, and you're like, man, I like this way better than everything I did already. Now I gotta go back and change it. Isn't that moment when you find something and you're like, I love how this is looking, it's coming along, and you pass that? That for me is my favorite, but I struggle to get there. I think that's my least favorite thing about being an instructional designer, is being caught up in that design block. It's just not fun.
Like, yes, I also like updating content because I'm like the before and after. Look at this. What you had
Mm-hmm.
before, trash. Okay, it's not trash. Sorry.
It's always trash before.
That was a little hard. But look what I done did now, and it's amazing. And you're welcome.
Yep.
So that's really what my week was. I was stuck in something and I'm finally seeing the light. But hopefully some people can relate. Let us know because that was I was on the struggle bus, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
I was on
I would love to hear some ideas that people have for how they get past that, because mine is always getting lost in Google Images. That's kind of just where I go. I'll look at other courses I've built, or there's a site called Faster Courses. They have tons of different designs you can click through, and I'll click through there just for inspiration. Like, oh, I really like how they did that button or that transition, and that's all it takes. But I'm really interested, and I hope we get some feedback with some new tips and tricks that we can try. Because
Yes. I totally do the Google thing. I'm basic.
mm-hmm.
I'm basic, y'all. I go
Same.
there and it's like searching modern design, modern, you know, two-tone design, modern monochromatic design.
That's a whole episode that we probably
Oh
should
my God.
put on our list. Like, what are your Google search keywords?
For sure, design, y'all.
I'm putting that down on my
In case
notes
your mind
here.
wonders, we're talking about instructional design. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, so speaking of episodes and topics, today I kind of wanted to talk about, and it's gonna go whatever way it goes, okay? Because
Mm-hmm.
that's the way the conversation is flowing. But it's it's what career paths can kind of lead you into the instructional designer space.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna start off by saying accounting.
I mean, the fact that we both went to college for accounting, which is so dry, but I think it speaks to us liking patterns
Yeah.
and liking things kind of coming together. I think it speaks more to a skill set we may have than actually loving accounting, but
Oh yeah, no, I don't love it's a strong word there. But also I think because it needs to make sense. You know, the saying, okay, you're gonna be proud of me, the math isn't mathin'. So if
Mhm.
it's not mathin', I'm not doing it. You gotta explain yourself. I want to see the formula because it's not working out. I'm gonna show you.
Mhm.
But so accounting is not one of I think like any position or any career path can lead you here, really.
Mhm.
But some of that are on my list, I put, and maybe some of them say ding if I hit one of yours, okay? Um,
Okay.
graphic designer,
Ding, ding, ding.
that was the top one. Producers,
That was not on my
that
list.
was not okay. Teachers, but also it's not the same. That's all I'm gonna tell you. It's not the same.
Right. That was not on my list. Facilitator is on my list
That's the
because
same.
you are already dealing with adults.
Mm-hmm. So
I
instead of
think,
teachers, I should have said professors because
mm-hmm.
you're more at teaching adults, right? At that level, higher ed education. Let's do that one. Content creators on the YouTubes
Mm-hmm.
because it has to do with like, you know, scripting. You have to lay out all your content first. And if you could do that, make it conversational, work with an
Mm-hmm.
SME, yeah, you're good. Um, this is a little loose, all right? This is kind of far-fetched a little bit. I put video editor.
Ding, ding. I had that too. I think those skills do translate in a lot of ways, because you are conveying information, you're trying to get a message out. I think with any of these, you're going to have some transition, but there's some core skills. And even with the teacher, because I don't want to get any of the teachers, I
Yeah.
don't want anybody to take that wrong. I just don't think that it's an easy transition. Um,
No.
but I do think there's a core set of skills that honestly anyone could possess
Mm-hmm.
that could move into this role.
It's funny that you say that because on my notes I put assuming that you can teach yourself about adult education theory.
Yes. Assuming you can teach yourself anything, really, if you are a self learner, I think that is a huge, huge asset in this field, being
Right.
a self learner. Knowing where to find information, going and figuring things out if you don't know how, being resourceful,
Right.
understanding how people, that's another key one. understanding how people process information and how to measure if they retained it from an adult perspective.
That's the second time you said it. Second episode, second time she said it.
I said it again.
Yes, the analysis part, like did my content actually do something? Was it impactful? We already have it on the schedule, Shannon. You're gonna nerd out. I can already feel it coming.
I'm just hopefully don't contradict myself from a previous episode.
That's why we need to do what is it called? The closed captioning. Shannon, read all these scripts before.
I think another one I had on here, because I have had a few friends transition over, would be somebody who was in certain types of marketing roles.
Oh, yeah.
Because under that, they do a lot of graphic design, but they're also building, writing, blurbs on things. They're making announcements, communications. So I think there's some skill set in that job that could translate over as well.
That's a good one. Yeah, I didn't have that one on my list, but that's a good one. So like trainers, right? We were talking about that. Facilitators is one and trainers is another. I found that out late in my.
Oh yes,
they're not
different.
They're not equivalent. No, they're not. So I think the trainer would have an easier transition over into an instructional designer, just because I feel like it's more hands-on, more in the field, more like they get the SOPs, you have to know how to write those to build content, to deliver it in a way that people can understand it. So they're doing like the handouts. Not all facilitators do that. I mean, I could be wrong. There's other companies that, may call their facilitators, and they do something completely different, just like instructional designers. And if you are in that spot, I'm sorry. But I know trainers have like a wide range, right?
I agree. That was me. So they called us facilitators, but we were trainers, because I was training somebody to do a job. And I was ultimately measured. My success was measured by their success within a certain amount of time frame after leaving my class. And I did teach them the soft skills, train them how to use the systems, all of those things. But developing those skills in a training scenario is what helped me have the skills to move into instructional design, I think, looking back.
So part of it too is, now that I'm thinking about it, it's, yes, you should be able to communicate effectively, verbally, but also written. But also you have to have some kind of design knowledge. I'm not saying you have to be your team's graphic artist. Okay. I'm not saying that, but know that whatever image you decide to select makes sense, or any multimedia you decide to use makes sense with whatever content you're building. That could put you in the path of instructional design too. Maybe? Question mark?
I think, and here's another, I might be stretching it just a little bit, but those who are in web development and design,
I see where you're going with this.
I mean, if you have those skills, so if you know how to build a website, you can build an e-learning lesson in Storyline. So, I mean, there's already going to be things you have to learn, no matter which field you come from. So that person may have to learn more, the ADDIE model and the adult learning theory and those pieces, but they're going to come in and be a rock star at making things look good, doing cool stuff on a page, making it responsive. So they bring those skills to the table already.
You said Storyline, I went Captivate. I really thought you were going to go Captivate.
I mean, we've been talking about this and I really want to bring it back. Like, I kind of miss Captivate. I always compare the two between, like, Storyline is iOS. It's like your iPhone. It's got everything pre-done for you. You can't get in there and do what you want. And we got Captivate over here, which is the Android. And you can do all kinds of cool stuff if you know how.
Right.
You got to know how.
Right.
So you could use it just like an iPhone, or you could be a web developer and make Captivate do all kinds of cool stuff. So
That was a good one.
know.
You know, when forces unite, Shannon, we might get
We might one day, right?
one day. One day. All right, cool beans. So we got a few of them. We got a few of them. Do you have anything else on your list?
No, we pretty much covered everything on my list.
All right, so it's pretty much, and what is it? Anything that anybody can actually become one. You just have to.
I think so.
Yeah. You don't know where life takes you.
Nope.
Right.
And that's what I had a note on here to, I mean, of course we brought up all these different jobs that could partially set you up.
Right.
There's going to be a learning curve, but I also think there's a certain skill set that somebody could have, and they might not be in any of those jobs. They could be, who knows, like
animate.
I mean, they could be in something completely unrelated. They could be a history, like not even a teacher, work at a museum, or, you know, they could work at a fast food restaurant. They could do, I mean, anything. People are in jobs that aren't the best fit for them everywhere.
Yeah, that's true.
So I was curious what you think if we had to bucket, we had to bucket skills. Like somebody was considering instructional design, had never heard of it, weren't really in one of the jobs we talked about. What do you think that are top skills that they should have?
Top 5.
Top 5.
Let's do top 5. All right. Wait,
you know what my number one's
do
gonna
you
be?
know I always have follow-up questions. Do we have time
Right.
restraints? Do we have time restraints? Because one of them for me would have to be time management skills. It's not the top, it's probably number 5.
Mm-hmm. You have to have some type of time management, because you're kind of your own project manager. Even if you have a project manager in your department, that project manager is going to look to you to give them your timeline. That's and right. You have to be able to time it out. So I think time management is huge.
All right. So I want to say, like right off the bat, understanding adult learning theories. That foundation. I'm just gonna, that core, that's the first thing you need to really understand to be an instructional designer for adults. You could, there's instructional designers for kids too. But we're talking about straight up adults, you know, for companies. That's my number 1. Number 2 is effective communication skills. Number 3 is some kind of graphic design or having an eye towards it. Okay, because if you can't create, at least use your resources.
Yep. Right? I think graphic eye is a good way to use it, because somebody might not have ever done graphic design, but they're an artist and they have a knack for colors piecing together, and you know, they're could even be an interior designer. Like they are great at making things look good. Right. I think that translates.
That's a good one. All right, number 4.
You didn't say my number 1 yet either. And I'm surprised.
I'm not gonna say content development. And the reason why I'm not gonna say it is because I'm gonna rely on the SME to do that. Okay. Number 4 was, dang it, what was it? Being able to use the software.
I mean, I think you can learn that. Can you use software? And I think,
and it could be any. I'm not saying you have to use Storyline.
Are you savvy?
Yeah, but you need to learn how to use different applications. Whatever application, you need to be able to maximize on that.
Okay, that's I think that. So that ties into mine. I was like, you know me. I was like, I can't believe she didn't think say this one yet because problem solving. You have to be able to solve your own problems.
Yeah.
And I think that's number one, because if you don't know adult learning theory, what are you going to do? Go read about it yourself online.
That's true.
If you aren't an effective communicator, you know what? Problem solve. Go online and figure out what you need to do and work on it. If you're bad at time management, start trying to put schedules together for your personal life and manage your time better. Like,
that's a good one.
You can go online on YouTube and Google and problem solve and build any of these skills on your own.
Okay, you won. And you know what? I'm also surprised that I didn't pick time management for my number one, because you know me.
I know.
Yep. 5 has to have it. All right, cool. That was good. That was fun.
I thought that was fun too. Like, we have been down the problem solving rabbit hole so many times because, you know, you're trying to build something and you want it to do something cool and you've seen it before, but you don't know how to do it. You know what? I'm going to sit on YouTube and I'm going to Google for the next 3 hours until someone shows me how to do it. And I'm going to figure it out.
So I'm going to need you to bring me back to this one, because I'm about to go down a whole different rabbit hole.
Okay.
What you said, going to YouTube, I just saw a cool button or a cool feature and I want to make it work. Okay, but also, is it relevant to what you're trying to teach? Because what I've seen sometimes out here in these streets is that, yes, it is a cool thing to have, but is it necessary? And that's where I'm like, you're putting a lot of time and effort into this, but the learner is not gonna. What's the purpose of it?
Right.
But I'm also on the other side of, but isn't it cool?
Right.
Look how it's.
No, I totally agree with that. Like, you have to have a bigger idea of what you're doing. Like one example of me going down that rabbit hole last year was just limitations with our LMS and gathering how people interacted with the courses. We aren't really able to do that with our current setup. So I went down the rabbit hole to find JavaScript and make it work and have it set a whole deal up where it was sending how the learner interacted with each page. Specifically, I wanted to know if they were interacting with the Spanish or the English, because we had newly translated to Spanish. And I wanted to be able to show how many people opted to take the lesson in Spanish. But I was able to make that work. But I didn't know how to do it before that. I had to ask Google and YouTube and try and fail and try and fail.
Can't wait to hear that. Maybe if you want to share that later on, off the air. I want to know, because that was a lot of work that got put into that. And a lot of this is in-house, you guys. Oh, that's a whole nother episode. That's a whole nother episode.
How does your company use your LMS, or what are the limitations?
That's also another episode. It's the in-house things that you have to create with what you've got already.
With what you've got,
yeah. Because, the fun words, it's not in the budget.
Yes, it's not in the budget.
That's the name of the next episode.
Yeah.
It's not in the budget.
Here, we want you to create a live stream, and you got to do it. You've got a pencil, an HDMI cable, a toaster, and an iPhone, and that's it. Make it work.
But you know what? What's our going to be our responses?
Yeah.
Absolutely. You got it. Do you know what you're doing?
We are MacGyvers.
Not at all, but we're going to make it work.
I don't know. Does anyone even know who MacGyver is anymore? I mean, I'm dating myself here.
Yeah. No.
You don't?
I will never say that. Hey, Siri. It's MacGyver. Oh, she answered. She's nosy.
Oh my gosh.
She's not nosy. I called you, girl. I'm sorry. I want her to be mad at me and give me wrong directions.
For those of you younger than me, MacGyver was a show back in the 80s and 90s where he could put together anything. Like, he'd be in an impossible scenario and find random objects in that scenario and always make something to get out of it. So like you MacGyver it.
Now I'm trying to think, how would I make that work?
I don't know where the toaster comes into play. It just popped in my head.
You know what? The toaster is our stand. That's what that is.
Okay.
I got nothing else after that. Hit record.
Right.
HDMI might be used later. I don't know. To keep the phone up? See, I'm really thinking about this. Okay, so now that you mentioned also like remember who he is, and if not, here's a brief thing. Let's talk about a little bit of the remember when. So this one was hard for me to come up with this time. But remember when you used to storyboard? Some of y'all don't know what that is because you don't. It shows. I mean, I've been in the game for a while. You don't really need it, but there's a version of it.
Right.
So what did you used to do when you storyboard? Do you still? Question number one.
I do not. I used to sit there and want to peel my face off when I got asked to make a storyboard. But I do feel it helps you think of the full layout of your lesson from start to end. It makes you consider your graphics and your transitions, and it gives you a map. It gives you a really good map of what you're going to build. And it gives the SMEs like an idea of, where you want to go with their content to start. So you're not investing a bunch of time with the design piece before the content of the lesson is finalized. So I guess that was a plus of doing that before. But
if it's a new client, yes, I will do it because they don't know me from jump, or as my husband says, from a can of paint. I don't know really what that means, guys, so just sorry about that. But I used to do that with all of my lessons, like all of my e-learnings, all of everything. And then I didn't, because it was always changing. And it took work to update that one document. I could have been spending it designing or, up in my game with that one course. So I kind of stopped. Now, what I do now is a version of that is when a client gives me their content, I'll use PowerPoint. Don't laugh at me.
No,
PowerPoint. I will put the script on the notes and give them like an idea of what the graphics are going to look like. And tell them the animation is completely off. Don't fall in love with this because we're not going to use PowerPoint.
Right.
Or maybe I don't know. We'll see where we are in life. But that's what I use to storyboard my stuff now, where it used to be a document that I downloaded from a website or something, or got it from another person, another ID. That's what I used to use, a Word document. I shouldn't say never, but
I did too. I used a Word document. I like your PowerPoint idea. Yeah. I felt like the Word document too, if you fellow instructional designers could look at the old-fashioned Word document storyboard and know what it meant. But I had several scenarios where I built exactly what was on there. And it was like, even though we had a meeting and I told you how to look through the storyboard and what the different columns meant, ultimately they didn't get it and had all these changes later. So I like your PowerPoint. I kind of do the same thing, but I'll go into Storyline and just kind of rough it.
Okay.
Same kind of deal.
Now I started doing that before they had that review piece.
I love articulate review.
Yeah, I really like it. Now, if we can get them to stop emailing me your edits, you could just put them on there. Put them on the review.
I will. You know me, I will straight up reply and be like, this is great. Thanks for the feedback. Now, can you please go into articulate review through the link I provided at the beginning and add them next to this slide.
Now that's effective communication, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. And
top 5.
Setting boundaries.
Oh. Okay, we're gonna have to come back and say top 10 at a later time.
Yeah, setting boundaries. That is definitely something you have to have, is the ability to do that, or you're going to be building a whole new lesson after you built a lesson, and you're going to have a brand new group of new reviewers on the final review.
And then, you know what? If this hurts anybody, I'm so sorry. But it's demonstrating it, put it in preview. Here you go. This is what I got. And then they scrap it. See, I set my boundary because I've had a client before that's done that. And I'm like, no, this is what you guys asked for. And, months later, we finished it. But now you're changing your content. And I'm not talking a small thing, we're talking about the entire content has changed. That's a whole new project. I'm not saying no to it. I'm saying we finished this one. Now you're having a second version of that, which looks like an entire different course. Right. So that was about it. That was hard. I'm not gonna lie to you. It was hard for me to, communicate that.
Well, I mean, it's magical, right? You just take the day.
Don't you do it.
Just wave your magic wand and a whole e-learning is created, a video, a whole new video.
Not a video.
A video, yeah.
Not a video. But yeah, I had to do that, and it was a whole different team. Completely different team for that other content. I'm like, you see, this is a different project. Not saying no, absolutely, let's get this done, but what you asked for, that's done. And now we're moving to something else.
That is those are the meetings that I have to leave and circle back to, because I'm like steam coming out, because I think it's happened to all of us. It has happened to all of us when I mean, even at the end of a project, all of a sudden I just sent it to this one other person and they come back with 50 things they want to change, and they haven't been involved in any of the reviews up until then. So those are times when you have to say, we're going to have to set up a time to discuss this and walk through it together. That is not today, because I need a minute.
Yeah, I need a minute.
I'm going to come back fresh, I promise.
Yeah. I'm not saying no. I'm saying let's okay, just for clarification, I'm not saying no.
Right.
Let's get it together. And then it starts back to, no, it's okay. We don't need to make changes.
When you do stand a boundary, it does happen like that a lot. I do notice they will kind of back down, or maybe this is the second lesson. But that's why I take that step away, because I have to think about what they're trying to do here. What did they tell me their goal was? And is this an opportunity for a follow-up lesson, or should it even be in here? All those things you got to think about, be prepared to discuss.
That's true. That is so true. And depending on that conversation, approach it accordingly.
Yep.
Because also what I've learned is, again, with time management in your effective communication skills, is that I'm happy to do this, but this will push your deadline.
You are queen of that phrase. Okay, I'm happy to do this, but this, and this are all going to have to move, and your deadline is going to be out here now. What's your priorities? I've heard you say that. What's my priorities? What's my focus?
Right. And it's in here. I will say this too, is that they don't, again, you're going to hear me say this until I die. They don't know what they don't know. Right. So once you put it in and show them that map, your project plan is really what it's called, your project plan, and you put dates on it and they visualize it, it's different. Because now they're like, okay, I didn't know that this was going to take you this long. And there's always the, why does it take you this long? Well, because there's, They don't understand that. We get creative blocks where we can't budge. It's not like we're sitting there not doing anything. We're working on other things, but in that moment in time, we can't focus on that one specific task.
Mm-hmm.
Because we want to make sure that whatever we're delivering is going to be effective. And it's going to make you look good too, right? So, but yes, I am probably the queen of that.
You are.
Yes.
I call her for advice on that. I'm like, oh my gosh, I just had this meeting. I want to burn it down. And she's like, Shannon, let's take a breath and figure out some realistic expectations. Thank you. Thank you.
Right?
She's the voice of reason for me, and I'll burn it down with her when
I'm ready, Shannon. Let's do this.
We ride at dawn. We ride at dawn.
Yes. We stay ready. That's all I'm gonna say is we stay ready. But also our work is awesome. So like, what is it that I also always say is like I appreciate the recognition, but also I am amazing. I don't need a gold star. Am I the absolutely best? No, but I'm happy with my work.
I think I actually said that in a one-on-one with our director. He said, I just want to tell you, you're doing a really good job. And I just want to make sure you know that. And I said, because you know me, I was like, oh, I know. Like, I know I'm doing a good job. I wasn't questioning that at all. Others may not see it or understand what I'm doing, but I know what I'm doing over here. And I know it's a good job.
Amazing. It's pretty amazing.
Because you know me, like, I think me,
validating,
right?
Yeah. No, guys, listen to this. We had one meeting, okay, which I'm gonna say this is gonna sound cheesy, but this is just who I am, and not sorry. Where we were giving recognition to our peers, okay, and I got some shout outs, which I appreciate, I do appreciate it, but it's not like my source of, like, I don't need the validation, but I appreciate it. I don't want to sound like I think I'm the stuff, whatever, fill in the blank. But the best part of that entire meeting was that there was an awkward silence, and your girl Shannon goes, you know what? Looking down at her piece of paper, okay, she was doodling on something. She goes, you know what? I want to thank me. I want to thank me for doing this course in FPR and for doing all these things. She busted out with the Snoop Dogg speech. If you haven't heard it, you need to. It's about a year old, so you need to catch it. But I want to thank me for being me, for getting me here, for me finishing this project. I mean, that was like the best mic drop. Everybody just like, what? Because she stayed quiet for most of the meeting, but that was the end.
Yep.
I think this meeting is adjourned.
It was, and that's the biggest project. Like, I had been working on it for 4 months and just assigned it to 30,000 people. And nobody knew because I do it alone. That's okay. Sometimes I am, a one woman wolf pack, and I'm over here just working on my own project, so nobody really knows. But I'm like, yep, I need some recognition. I want to thank me. I did awesome. Y'all need to know. But it was funny.
I think this is hilarious because one, I didn't expect it from Shannon. She was sitting there doodling. And the second thing was there was awkward silence before and after, and then everybody started laughing. Like, you know what, Shannon, you're right. We want to thank you. So these annual reviews, they are not the business.
Oh, everybody hates it.
They do, but the way that you've created it so that we can, finish them in a reasonable amount of time has made a world of a difference. And our learners see that. Like, there was buzz around it the first year you did that. They don't know how you did it. They don't know that it took you hours, months to do it. I shouldn't say hours, months.
Right. No, months. It took months, but
months to do that. But they knew that there was a change. And that was awesome. That was awesome. And yeah, she's
Thanks, girl.
I didn't get any credit of it, nor did I volunteer for it. I would have to be voluntold for it.
You know what? I always say when I'm around our work campus and people ask like, oh, what do you do? And I'm like, well, I'm that lady. And they're
Yeah.
like, ew. I'm like, hey, someone's got to get paid to do it.
Right.
Like, and compliance training is not one of the funner aspects of instructional design, but it isn't going anywhere. And there are ways you can improve it. And you think about it differently. We were talking about measuring learning and things of that nature earlier. And what were we? Effective communication or adult learning theory. Of course, in compliance training, all of those are important, but also what do they need to know? And time is money with compliance training. We've got 30,000 people completing this. That's millions of dollars spent for an organization, but you have to do it for OSHA, legal reasons, government funding, all those things. We have to show that we trained you. And everyone wants a piece of that pie, getting their information in there, but at the end of the day, that particular type of training comes down to, you know, what do we need to tell you, really?
Mm-hmm.
How can we measure that you read it? And how can we get you through this as quickly as possible so it's not, you know, super painful for the learner and overly costly for the organization. So different types of trainings have different goals and different ways you approach it.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Another episode.
That's another episode too.
Yeah, because we could really go into that. The cost that is associated with developing a course.
Yeah. And what we doing here? We checking a box, we changing behavior, we teaching a new skill, all those things. Like that's a whole episode.
That's a whole nother, yeah. And I think the bottom line is, and I feel like we have this in common, is you got to do the right thing for the right reason. Like I don't mind spending, you know, time in the front end building something that will impact us in the long run in a positive way, right? It can reduce waste, time, you know, keeping it lean. I'm all about it. One way to do that is not to use Word documents for my storyboarding.
For real.
That's how I reduce time and waste. You're welcome.
You know what's just popped in my head, oddly enough, was it would be funny if we somehow incorporated those our animated characters into the podcast somewhere.
You shut up.
Those were funny.
Okay. You already know I'm supportive because of my facial expressions. I'm down for it. I'm here for it.
Cool.
Yeah, let's do it. They're so cute.
They are cute.
He looks just like me. What, Shannon, you guys, y'all don't know this, especially if you don't work in an organization, but so Shannon built a course for our administrators, our LMS administrators who, you know, they go in there, they do things for their classes. You could probably explain that better, Shannon. But anyway, so she made this lesson and it was awesome because it was like, who wants to be a millionaire kind of a thing?
Yeah, it was called Who Wants to Be an LMS Admin?
But the fact that she got us customized little avatars that look just like us. Like she sat with me and she was like, all right, like, let's make this happen. You want to be in it? Yes. You're going to make a cartoon of me? I'm full of myself. Okay.
She was there for it.
I love me some
she was there for it.
Yes, I love me some me. So I was like, yes, let's do that. So it was so funny because even the interactions in the course were things that I would do.
She was the phone a friend and she was like at her desk blowing bubblegum bubbles, listening to R&B when the call comes. I mean, it was funny. And that was a training that didn't have, I mean, it was just a refresher. Hey, here's some new things that have happened with the LMS. Like, just want to make sure you're still using your access. So I try to make it fun because there's not really a measurable learning goal at the end. So it was just something to put out there, just have fun. So thank you for letting me animate you, Sandra, but it just popped into my head, like, we could probably do something cool on the podcast with our characters. That would be fun.
It's usually yes. Like I'm open to whatever. You guys know, you know that. I'm open to whatever. Okay, how did we do? I think that's it, guys. That's all I have for today. That's all we have for today. Unless Shannon wants to add anything else. No.
No, I think we did a good job of going through our topic, talking about, you know, careers that we know people who have transitioned, careers that we thought might be an easy transition, and even, you know, skills you might want to focus on if you're not in one of those careers, because it really, you really could come from anywhere.
You really could.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I like that. You brought it back around.
I had to. I mean, it's that whole learning thing. Like I had
Yeah.
to circle back and bring it together and have a little conclusion.
That was a little course summary for you guys, ladies.
A little course summary.
Click exit. Exit the course. Exit the. All right, guys. Thank you so much for letting us be a part of your day to day. I hope you were able to learn something. And if you'd like to share anything with us, make sure that you share it with us in the comments wherever we're at. I think now we have the TikToks.
We do. We've got the TikToks, and the episodes will soon be up on YouTube, right?
Yes.
So subscribe.
Please,
and we can talk about
comment and subscribe.
comment and subscribe. Yes.
Put the bell notification on. I've always wanted to say that too. You might see an animation right here. And if you don't, I'm sorry. But yes, and we also have Instagram, and it's at I am an ID. That's at Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. ID stands for instructional design, in case you had any questions. All right, guys, you have a great day, and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks. Bye.